Hey YouTube, jgreen302. This one I'm going to call Iron Ball. Only because I heard some kid's mom say that boy can fuck up an iron ball. And my first thought was, how in the world could you possibly do that? And she said, if there's a way, that boy can find it. I mention this because it's a cute, creative, humorous way of remembering simple is good, reliable is good. I'm going to talk about a few things in general as a concept to reinforce why that's so important. If you've watched a lot of my videos, you keep hearing the reliability factor come in. If you have a gun, it had better be 100% reliable because it's the last thing that will protect you from dying. So herein, reliability is paramount. Well, that makes sense. But reliability in your gear is just as important. Relying on high-tech gadgets, battery-operated devices, I avoid most of that except for things that you can't. You can't string two cans together and think you're going to have comms. So you have to take it all with a grain of salt. But if you've seen some of my videos, I talk about the Trangia stove. Small, lightweight, compact. It's been used for over 100 years reliably. There's no moving parts. You have to crush it to break it. It always works. Considering what it does for you, that kind of reliability is fantastic. Titanium equipment. Extremely strong, extremely durable. It's just a spoon, I know. And some of you are probably going, there is no spoon, I know. But something like this is hard to break, it's hard to destroy. And unless you're an idiot or do something really stupid, you'll always have a spoon. So I find these items extremely valuable. Hence the cook gear. A titanium pot is really hard to mess up. Reliable gear. This is a can opener, but it's one that's designed to cut cans with no lips, so that the cans can be used in a utility value. This probably is very hard to break, but it's mechanical, it has shit that moves, it can rust, there are ways to make this fail. And although this is an interesting little item, I've got this for another purpose. Give me a bulk box of P37s, the small little keychain can openers, and let me spread them 2 or 3 in damn near everything in my gear everywhere so that you almost stumble across them. I guarantee you, if you have that can opener and I have my P37s, I will be opening cans long before you do. Well, long after you can't. It's too simple. It's too reliable. I will always dumb it down to the simplest thing, the most unbreakable thing, the most reliable that I can find, because if I'm in a shit hits the fan scenario, I'm really going to be relying on my gear. That's why we get the gear. Just like we get the food and we get the ammo and all that. We're going to really be relying on it. So the whole point of this is back to it. It's the iron ball. How close to an iron ball is your equipment? Are you going to be depending on battery-operated LED Coleman lanterns? Are you going to be relying on gear that has a very limited expectancy that can easily be broken, or are you relying on some things that are a little more tried and true? If it came down to it, that LED Coleman, lighting system, solar panels, some rechargeable batteries, yeah. But an oil wick lamp, I will always have as a backup. In all cases where I can, I'm going to go with reliability, stay away from glass, stick with steel containers. I tend to prefer, depending on what the equipment is, I will invest extra money because it's going to protect something. And at the same time, I spend a lot of time learning as many different ways as I can to do it another way. So, one of the things, y'all know what these are. It's a candle. This is actually a 100-hour emergency candle. As you can see, I've used it. Candle wax and a wick. Something to have a wicking action, and candle wax as fuel. In its solid form, very nice to have. I mean, it's unpackaged fuel. There's your iron ball. You're never going to beat this. And there's a reason why people have been using candles for 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, I don't know, 800 years, whatever. I guess it started with, whale oil or, pine sap, you depending on how far back you want to go. So on that thought, take a can, and I've been using this as an ashtray, but it's a can, it's empty, which you're going to have a lot of. And this is where that other one comes into play, is to get rid of that lip, to use all these excess cans as storage and various other little items. But if you collect as many of these as you can, since they can't go bad, they don't need extra packaging, they can come in a solid pack form. Hell, if I could, I'd get blocks of this stuff, and I probably will. You can take a can like this, and just coil cardboard so that it looks like a spring in there, and cut it off, and you can melt used candles till it's liquid and viscous. You can soak the cardboard, and you can make a lot of these. It's a hobo stove. With some creative thought, if you shape something, you really can make reconstitutable candles, cook stoves. When that wax gets solid, this becomes solid, and much to this, except it's in readily usable format. You can use a soup can. You can use pine cones. You can use cotton balls. You can use pretty much anything. And as it burns down, you can always throw some more material in, melt some more wax, and keep using it. You can pre-store these. And if you stop and think about it, if you got 6 of these and you picked up wick material, you could make small, flat, refillable candles. And these will light the house in the evenings when you have no electric. And since it's a can, a wick, and candle wax, this is another example of what I call the old iron ball. When all else fails, this will still work. Think about your gear in those terms. I'm not here to tell you about a hobo stove. What I'm talking about is the fact of how reliable it is. how trustworthy it is. Especially when we talk about fuel. Unlike gasoline or lamp oil, wax transitions in form. And in the room temperature form, you can't beat this. Preparing a whole bunch of these, literally in one box or two boxes, you could have more heat, more cooking capability, more lighting capability, more than you can with a whole garage full of fuels. Except it's 10 times safer. If a hurricane rips your roof off and this gets wet, so what? If it gets crushed, your liquid fuel doesn't go all over the place. You pick up the pieces and you melt it again. It's a goddamn iron ball. Electronic compasses are nice. Give me 15 cheap ones that just work in general. Redundancy, triple redundancy, simplicity, and reliability factor. In every piece of gear, think about these qualities. Not the whiz-bang or the gizmo factor, but the reliability and durability factors. You don't know what's coming. You don't know what's going to happen. The more durable and reliable, the more iron balls you have. I didn't see that one coming, but okay, let's go there. The more iron balls you have, the more likely you're going to have iron balls. And isn't that the whole point in a survival situation? I hear a lot of people talk about a lot of things, but the concept of the durability and the simplicity is glazed over. It's like mentioned as a passing, and then they move on with what they're talking about. What they're talking about is great from an informal, informational point of view, but the concept of reliability, the iron ball theory of your gear, has more to do with your survivability than you probably are thinking about. If you doubt me, go camping with cheap equipment and then tell me what you think. That would be the best example that I could provide. Review your gear. Think about it. Think about a candle in 8 different scenarios, and will you still be able to use it? Now take the lighting source of your choice and put it through those same conditions and see how well it comes out. I don't know about you, but simple is good. I just thought I would mention this. Just another part of the things that I think about and the things that I think are important. It wasn't interesting. I didn't get all cranked up. It wasn't new information. It's a glazing over what we all should probably think of as common sense. But as I watch, I really don't see the point being emphasized. The entire point of my entire video is to emphasize the point, not the gear. Thanks for listening.